Carl Jung issued a warning about your mind, but no one ever talks about it. There's a part of you that's not broken, just buried, and the longer you ignore it, the more it controls you. What if the part of you that ruins everything is the part you refuse to see? You walk into a room smiling, polite, composed, successful. But deep beneath that surface, something moves. It flinches when you're rejected. It whispers when you're alone. It hungers, it judges, it sabotages, and it's been with you all along. Carl Jung didn't just warn us about the unconscious. He feared it, not because it was irrational, but because it was real. He called it the shadow, the hidden self we bury to survive society. But what happens when that buried self starts digging its way back up? You've felt it. The shame you can't shake. The anger that explodes out of nowhere. The voice inside that says, "You're not enough." This isn't just psychology. It's a slow possession. And Jung's greatest fear wasn't that we'd ignore the shadow. It's that we'd mistake it for ourselves and never know the difference. Today, we're opening the door you were taught to keep locked. What you find there might unsettle you, but if you're brave enough to look, it could set you free. Carl Jung called it the shadow, but it has always been with you. Since the first time you were told, "Don't say that, be nice, don't cry." The moment you learned some parts of you were unacceptable, you began to bury them. The shadow isn't fiction. It's everything you've denied. Your rage, your lust, your envy, your pain. You didn't kill these instincts. You pushed them underground. And there, they grew teeth. They speak now through addiction, through self-sabotage, through judgment and control. That quick irritation, that secret resentment, the patterns you can't break. That's the shadow. Not destroying you, but trying to be seen. It's not evil. It's exiled. A part of you, cast out for wanting too much or feeling too deeply. And the more you repress it, the more it governs you from behind the curtain. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate. You'll think you're choosing, but the shadow is choosing for you. You'll think it's intuition, but it's unhealed memory wearing a mask. To face the shadow isn't to conquer it. It's to reclaim it, to meet the eyes of the self you abandoned and say, "I remember you." Only then does the darkness begin to lose control. The shadow does not die in exile. It adapts. It waits for cracks, and it always finds them. You feel it when you overreact to something small, when your voice tightens but you smile anyway, when the sadness returns and you don't know why. That's not weakness, it's residue. Your buried parts don't vanish. They become symptoms: anxiety, depression, burnout, jealousy that feels like truth, anger that explodes from nowhere. You scroll endlessly. You chase perfection. You numb, distract, achieve, not because you're lazy or broken, because you're haunted. The shadow wants your attention, and it will take it, through crisis, if it must. Jung knew this. He called repression a moral problem, because hiding from yourself is a kind of betrayal, not just of who you were, but who you could become. You were taught to be good, but goodness without authenticity is a cage. You wear a mask long enough, you forget there's a face beneath it. And here's the danger. The shadow doesn't just live in isolation. It starts to bleed into your choices, your relationships, your dreams. You'll sabotage joy because somewhere inside, you believe you don't deserve it. You'll choose pain that feels familiar because healing feels unsafe. This is how the shadow wins. Not with violence, with silence. It speaks through the patterns you can't explain, the people you attract, the comfort in chaos, The voice that whispers, "Not you, not yet, not good enough." But that voice isn't you. It's a memory, a wound still breathing. And the longer you refuse to face it, the louder it becomes. Jung warned, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. So you can avoid, but you will not escape, because what you repress becomes what owns you. You feel it, not as a scream but a tightening, a flicker, an unease that rises at the wrong moment and says, "Something's not right." You smile, but you're not okay. You succeed, but you feel empty. You say, "I'm fine," but your body knows you're lying. The shadow doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, in the middle of your calmest moments, when everything should feel good, but doesn't. You sabotage love. You push away peace. You chase the same kind of pain in a different costume. You feel jealous, and then guilty for feeling it. You judge others harshly for things you secretly recognize in yourself. You become the peacemaker. But inside, you're seething. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong. Because somewhere inside, you've learned your existence is too much. You overwork, you overthink, you overperform. And still, you feel unseen. This isn't personality. This is programming. It's not who you are. It's who you became when being yourself didn't feel safe. The shadow feeds on denial. It shows up in patterns you can't explain. The friends you outgrow, the dreams you delay, the choices that feel like yours, but somehow always end in the same place. You call it bad luck, fate, maybe even karma. But it's not fate. It's the part of you that you refuse to face. And until you do, it will keep playing out again and again and again. This is the shadow's grip. Subtle, invisible, masterful. And if you never name it, you'll call it destiny. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So look closer at what offends you, at what you can't forgive, at the lies you tell yourself to survive. Because what you judge might be what you lost, and what you resent might be what you need to reclaim. The shadow leaves clues, not to punish you, but to pull you back to the self you buried. And if you dare to follow them, everything could change. You can't outrun it. You can't kill it. The shadow isn't something to defeat. It's something to welcome home. Carl Jung didn't believe in destroying the darkness. He believed in turning toward it and asking, "What are you here to teach me?" Integration is not a clean process. It's not pretty. And it's never comfortable. It's messy, honest, raw. Because to integrate the shadow, you must first admit you've worn a mask, and not just to the world, to yourself. The work begins in silence, in stillness, in moments when you finally stop performing and listen to what's been screaming beneath the surface. Jung called this active imagination, not daydreaming, not fantasizing, but a conscious dialogue with the parts of you you've forgotten. The angry child, the unseen artist, the jealous friend, the part of you that wanted and was told it was wrong to want. You bring them into the light, not to fix them, but to see them. And in seeing, you reclaim what was lost. Shadow integration isn't a ritual. It's a return, a remembering. You stop fighting your reflection and begin to recognize it. You stop blaming the world and start listening to the wound. And when you do, everything begins to shift. Your projections fall away. You stop needing to control everything around you, because you're no longer at war with what's within you. This is what Jung meant by becoming whole. Not perfect, not pure, whole. Because wholeness is made from contrast, from light and dark, from grace and grief, from rage and the courage to sit with it. When you integrate the shadow, you don't become someone else. You become someone real. And in a world obsessed with image, that might be the rarest thing of all. There's a new kind of mask, one that looks like healing, sounds like wisdom, even smells like incense. But it's still a mask. Shadow work has become a trend, packaged in aesthetics, shared in sound bites, reduced to journal prompts and crystal rituals, marketed as something beautiful. But the real work, it's not beautiful. It's brutal. It strips you. It confronts you. It humbles you. Jung never meant for shadow integration to become a performance. He warned of ego inflation, that dangerous moment when the self believes it has transcended, when in truth it has only shifted the mask. Now the ego says, I've done the work. I've healed. I see through everything. But the shadow hears this and smiles, because the moment you claim to be beyond your darkness, you've given it more power. You've made a new persona, one that wears spiritual language like armor, one that hides in consciousness, but still operates from fear. True shadow work doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't announce itself. It happens in private, in the quiet hours, when no one is clapping, when there's nothing to gain. It breaks you open, not so you can feel enlightened, but so you can feel everything. The trap is thinking you've arrived, that you've beaten the shadow, that now you're safe. But the truth is, there is no arrival, no final badge, no spiritual certificate. There's only awareness and the humility to keep looking inward, especially when you think you've already looked enough. Jung didn't offer escape. He offered a mirror, and mirrors don't lie, even when you do. So if your shadow work feels like a brand, a performance, a weapon, stop, strip it back, look again. Ask not, how do I look doing this? But, who am I when no one's watching? Because that's where the real shadow waits. Not on your feed, not in your words, but in the silence between who you are and who you pretend to be. It was never your enemy, not the fear, not the shame, not even the rage you tried so hard to hide. The shadow is not here to destroy you. It's here to free you. But freedom isn't found in light alone. You must descend into the rooms you locked, the versions of you swore you'd never become, the memories you've rewritten, the emotions you were told to fear. This is not destruction, it's excavation, the soul reclaiming its scattered pieces. Jung believed that wholeness only comes when we embrace both sides, the image and the instinct, the persona and the primal, the self and the shadow, because your darkness isn't the opposite of your light. It's the birthplace of it. Inside your shadow is everything you've been searching for. Your truth, your boundaries, your voice, your wildness. It holds the part of you that remembers. Before the edits, before the masks, before the world told you who to be. And when you meet that part, not to fix it, not to shame it, but to witness it, that's when the prison begins to crack. That's when the quiet strength returns. Not because you conquered yourself, but because you stopped abandoning who you were all along. This is why the shadow matters. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's honest. And in a world full of filtered identities and spiritual performance, honesty is radical. Honesty is liberation. The shadow is not your curse. It is your map to power, to peace, to the self you were before survival became your only language. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop running? Because freedom doesn't come when you transcend your shadow. It comes when you finally turn to face it and say, let's go home. If this spoke to something buried inside you, Don't scroll away. Subscribe to Deep Rewind. Comment below. What part of you have you denied the longest? This is just the beginning. We're not here to escape the mind. We're here to understand it, one truth at a time. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to drop a comment below and share your opinions. We read every single one. Thanks for watching.